Oh dear, we're going to do something with these stars, haven't we? But anyway, hello and welcome on this very, very hot and sunny Thursday afternoon down where we are. I've noticed on Twitter, everybody seems to be saying, well, what day is it today? And I'm basically losing track. So anyway, it is Thursday. Hello again. Good of you to log on and come and join us for another one of our sessions. And tomorrow we have our weekend. Now we're calling it Thank Furlough It's Friday, and we're going to be doing a catch up with everything that we've gone through this week. I've wrote Jackie Mountain to come on and join us again because she has been busy answering all your queries, because even though most of you got your queries answered on screen and many were listening in, we've still had thousands of people wanting just the I's dotted and the T's crossed. Very happy to do that. She is catching up. So I've been spending the last 15 minutes trying to cocoon myself in some sort of, I've got some old cardboard here now. I was building it up because I'm a bit worried about my glasses shining. Of course, it's dawned on me now that the shine is actually coming from the screen that I'm looking at. So I've totally wasted my time. And I'm sure those of you out there who are more intelligent than me will already have known that. But anyway, now let's get on with today's program, because I'm really very pleased that we have got one of the most acclaimed people to be on our fever pitch. Now, those of you who've been to Summit will know that fever pitch is when every single exhibitor gets 1 minute to rush up on stage and tell us everything about why, after we indulge in the usual ICB huge lunch, we should then go on to their stand. And James Spencer from TaxFiler is one of those people who came onto stage to huge applause, and hopefully lots of people visiting his stand. So, James, hello and good afternoon.
Hello, Gary. How are you?
I'm good. I like the TaxFiler bit in the pocket.
Oh, yes. Corporate, always on brand, always on brand.
Always on brand. Hello. Yeah, it's really good to have you with us. I think a lot of our members already know about TaxFiler, but a significant proportion want to know more. I also believe a little bit later on, you're probably going to give us what you've termed a world exclusive.
Oh yes, I am. Yes,
but that's good. That's great. But first of all, your title that I noticed on LinkedIn, because we're joined on LinkedIn as well, is Chief Tester. So that deserves explanation, I think.
Test manager. I've actually changed it due to your question earlier. I am also product evangelist, and I also help on support desk. And I think I'm not yet cleaning the toilets or anything, but I do quite a lot of various things on TaxFiler. We're quite an agile company, so we put people where they are good, and apparently testing is something I'm quite good at. I used to work for a couple of consultancies like Deloitte and KPMG doing that. So,
right.
But I'm also quite good at telling people about TaxFiler. Apparently, so I'll take that.
Yeah, well, you've got a couple of webinars and they seem to be going down quite well, but I'm hoping that obviously we can't get away from who you're with today as TaxFiler, but we also want to know a little bit more about what's affecting people that are filing tax at the moment. But just for those who don't know, and brief, what exactly does TaxFiler do other than file taxes?
Well, TaxFiler, it does file your tax, and that's an incredibly important part of what we are and what we do. That's how we started. We started doing SA 100s, self-assessment forms for individuals, then moved out to partnership returns and trust returns, and then to the CT 600 corporation tax returns. We also do accounts. I think I wasn't in TaxFiler at the time when they started accounts, but I think the idea was that there were so many account software out there that we basically thought it would be easier to actually control that bit of the process ourselves. We won't do bookkeeping ever, just in case anyone's going to ask that. But we do the final accounts. So the FRS 102, FRS 105, partnerships, sole traders, and LLPs, limited liability partnerships. And we do VAT, and there is something else we're going to do, which is going to be a world exclusive.
Okay, well, we'll leave that powder dry for the moment.
Absolutely. The powder is being a bit oversold. I'm a bit worried about, but but it is something I can say to you first before all others.
Now, you are sure you don't have a team back at head office who are sitting there thinking, oh my God, what's he going to say now? Because that's something that happens to me, I'm afraid.
They already have their heads in their hands. It's generally the way with me, actually. I think you just wonder what on earth I'm going to come out with next.
Yeah. Well, it keeps them on their toes, I find. I tend to like to announce things I think of on stage at conference and hope that somebody can cope with it afterwards, And Soby, who's our anchor today, because Amy is not with us today, but it's the wonderful Soby who's with us. And I have been known to come up with some very strange ideas, including at one conference suggesting that the following conference we were going to give away a car, which I'm still reminded of that on a regular basis. And the lady who resigned there and then has now gone on to do other things. But never mind. It's all good fun. But you said something there that was music to my ears. FRS 105 and FRS 102.
Yes.
The government has played into bookkeepers' hands. It's recognised the value of bookkeepers and said, right, this is good enough.
We all recognise the value of bookkeepers.
You can do this.
Yes, and absolutely. I mean, the thing is that bookkeepers understand their clients better than almost anyone, at least on the financial side. Now, accountants, I love accountants, so I'm not going to talk them down.
No.
But a bookkeeper will come in probably about once every month into the client, and they'll be dealing with the books and getting it up to the trial balance and making sure the trial balance is right. And so there's a post-trial balance event, such as getting your accounts done, getting your corporation tax return, maybe if you're a sole trader, getting the SA 100 return, that you can also do as a bookkeeper. And it's actually it's a reasonably simple thing to be doing for many of the clients, not all of the clients. There will be still clients that you will have to go to the accountants to get.
Absolutely.
And I think one of the good things about the ICB stuff that I've always been seeing has been the insistence that yes, you can do a lot of these accounts, but the key to doing these accounts is don't try and do more than you can. But
my constant message, yes.
But you can do a lot, and if you look at the FRS 105, it's 7 lines. It's actually a very easy set of accounts to do.
Sorry about that. It's becoming noisy out here. I do apologise.
Well, I've got chickens down. I've got chickens in my garden. They're a very small garden, but we have chickens in. So I'm expecting them to start acting up, because they always seem to on video conferences with me. So with a larger audience, I'm expecting them to actually really want to come in. So the FRS 105 is a gift to bookkeepers, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I think that any company that is too complex for a bookkeeper is too complex for an FRS 105. That's from the start. They should not be having an FRS 105. So if they can do an FRS 105, then a bookkeeper can do that. FRS 102s, I think you do need to be a bit more careful. And I do think one thing before people put their head, Soby this time puts their heads in their hands, I do think that you need to make sure you're doing the training first before you do the FRS 105s. You should be looking at doing the training. So it shouldn't just be.
I think that we demand that people do train. We won't let our members do anything like that.
Yeah.
It surprises me, though, how many people launch into this with a bit of software or something or other and think they can do it. And I don't know whether they get away with it or not, because we rarely find out about these stories until it goes completely haywire. But, the thing is that bookkeeping and accounting are quite difficult professions. That's why they're called a profession. That's why people do, in our case, 8 or 9 exams, and in others even more. We don't do them for fun. We don't do them just to make life difficult and to earn money. It's because there's a reason for it. We have to be professional, and it's a job.
It's one of the ironies of well, not ironies. It's almost a trap of software, because software is designed to make complex issues, complex processes easy. That's essentially, if you ask what is software, you were going to ask someone from the 17th century coming in. What is this software? It's designed to make complex processes easy, and so people can get fooled, have an illusion of competence. I think it's been quite cruelly called sometimes. So yes, just because it looks easy doesn't mean that you can do it. It may be that you've missed something about it. But on the FRS 105, yeah, really, if you've done the training and you've got the software and you've got the trial balance, you can do it. And that's what that's one of the things I've been saying constantly. And if you watch any of the webinars I do with ICB, you'll see that's a pretty constant message. And
yeah, I mean, 95% of all businesses fall within that category anyway. So it's not as if you're hitting at a small market there. You're not narrowing down your options very far at all.
Yeah.
And 102 is quite broad. It's 700,000 limit for 105, 700,000-ish, up to, what is it, 13.5 million. Our members should not be looking after a 13.5 million company, certainly. But I think somebody in perhaps the 1.5 million, family run, very simple ins and outs, then it's okay. Other than that, go do the training with an accountancy body. That's what it's about, I think. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, you've got yeah, that's right. If you itching to do the more complex stuff, well, I'm not going to get on the ICB messages just in case I say something slightly different. But yes, bookkeepers. I mean, one of the reasons why TaxFiler seems to fit very well with bookkeepers, and it's not just ICB. There may be another one with 2 A's in it, which I know you don't.
Yeah.
But the reason we do seem to have quite a few people who are bookkeepers and AAT, as well as having the accountants that you would normally expect for accounting products, is because it is actually a TaxFiler tries to make it a reasonably easy process to go through. So you've got the bank. I mean, we do say, and it's I'm surprised I haven't got in trouble for saying it yet, but I'm surprised I haven't got in trouble for saying most things. You bring the trial balance, and we'll do the rest. Not entirely true, by the way, but obviously, if you need to write notes or something like that, it won't always see the notes you need to write, but it will see most of them, and that's the idea. So you get the trial balance and you bring it in, and then you add the bits that the trial balance can't tell. For example, number of employees, and if you're doing a CT600, obviously you need to do capital allowances around that, or directors' loans and things like that. So that's essentially what it is, and it fits really quite well with ICB, because you're basically skilling your members up to deal with these areas that the government is saying to bookkeepers, well, you're really good for this sort of thing.
I think we'll hear from them very quickly if we start making messes of accounts, and that certainly isn't the impression we're getting at the moment. We do try and keep an eye on everybody. My members will be fed up with saying this, you haven't heard it, but we did once have a member who actually submitted an audit, and the FRC came on and said, hold on a second, will you have a word with this member, please? And when I asked, the member said, yeah, but the client asked me to. And so we always bang home at this, and you've alluded to it anyway, from what we normally say at conference and everything else. You know, just because you're asked to do it doesn't mean you should. You have to weigh up. You know, it's your career and reputation.
Sometimes that's the attitude we take towards software enhancements. Just because we're asked to do it doesn't mean that we really should be. But we do try and do software enhancements in the way that we do try to be led by client demand for software enhancements, which is why it's why it's expanded in the way I've been talking. I mean, most people don't actually realise that TaxFiler has been around since 2012, which is, I mean, it's seen as very much a new kid on the block, because it's a cloud native product, which has been an absolute godsend to many practices where they've just had to shutter up their offices and go home, and they can just log into TaxFiler as per normal. Which
our members are pretty IT. I mean, they are virtually all in the cloud. You know, they have been for a while. I think the thing is that the way that bookkeepers work, again, something I've said so many times before, is that they are peripatetic. They do move around a lot. They're dealing with so many different clients. It's not a question of nipping out once a year, having a game of golf and picking up the accounts and taking them back to somebody who sits in their office and does them. You know, I mean, and I am being very rude towards accountants, but I mean, you know what I'm saying. It is different, and I think
I'll leave the honour of the accountants because they are a big part of our market as well. So,
well, they would
yes,
be.
Yes, you are much more involved with clients than accountants ever will be, and I think accountants will say that as well.
But I think tax is something which can be very complicated, and that's not what we're aiming at. We're aiming at trying to have a cost-effective year-end system for those businesses for whom there's very little done after we've produced a set of accounts.
Absolutely.
And it's not worth paying between 1,000 and 5,000 to have that ticked by somebody else, and we can do that. But we're not.
And your hourly rate is going to be much higher as well, even if the actual cost to the client is much lower than an accountant. So everyone wins, apart from the accountant.
But I think there's enough business out there for accountants.
And to be honest, accountants don't like that sort of work anyway. Let's be fair. They don't like that sort of work because actually, unless they've got a very efficient, what they call sausage machine, this sort of work can get in the way. And I have dealt with accountants. I'm quite good friends with some people in Tax Assist. And one of their problems I have with franchisees is that franchisees will often want to do more. Because once they've they've gone, right, got a great business and it's going, and we're dealing with all these sub-£2 million turnover companies, and we want to do more complex stuff. And that's a real problem for people who are trained accountants, because they're trained at a very high level, actually. Speaking as someone who's part qualified and not fully qualified, it's a very high level.
Shame on you. Well, why did you stop qualifying?
Why did I stop qualifying? Because Coopers and Librand, if you remember them, found out I wasn't actually a very good accountant. I was rather good on computers, but I wasn't a very good accountant.
That's okay.
But I have quite a lot of accountancy and tax knowledge, which is very handy. But the actual being an accountant itself, it's a different set of skills, really. So basically that, and it also didn't help that it was in the middle of a recession. So they did want to get they did want to slim down their ranks quite considerably of students. So that's how it happened. But that was back in the day. That was quite a long time ago.
So now TaxFiler is part of Iris.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
They seem to have, they had a bookkeeping package many years ago. I'm not sure they promote it very heavily now, if at all. They seem to have moved up market a bit, up to bigger firms. Is that fair?
Yes. Well, I think Iris are across the board, really. They're essentially, they are, we are, should I say. I better be careful now.
Yes,
but
be careful.
It's a private equity company, and it goes and it integrates in promising software companies across the area. And I think one thing over the next couple of years is people will be quite surprised to see how much Iris actually does, because there is this program called One Iris, which is going to be going out and actually showing how much Iris does. And we're getting an awful lot of firepower. It's like in the boring back office areas such as financials and recruitment and areas such as that, where a small company, a small startup has trouble, frankly. So it's been a very positive thing, actually. A lot of people were expecting us to complete, because I'm an old TaxFiler hand. I'm pre-Iris, and I'm very, very proud of what TaxFiler managed to do. But I think people on the accounting web, if you read that, they were expecting us to all be dissatisfied by Iris, but it's actually been, as I said, it's been a very positive experience.
We have a rather strange history with Iris, actually, and many of our members have been around for a while. When we were first looking at cloud, we had a special offer with Iris, and we had a system, and it sold quite well. The trouble was that every time they pressed print, nothing would print. We were then telephoned by a woman at the head office at Datchet, saying, I've just come in this morning, this was a Monday, she said, I've got about 5,500 printouts all coming out of the computer. What is
Sorry, I should laugh. Right. I think I'm if I mysteriously disappear from any more of these webinars or anything like that, you'll know why. I shouldn't have laughed at that, should I?
No, I mean, we tried our best, but nobody could figure out what was happening. And
Oh,
so they'd go on to customer service and say, well, try pressing it again. No, no. Well, do this, then try pressing it again. And it
oh,
was just spewing out, and that's it.
yes. Well, so that's the thing about software. It automates so much that when things go wrong, they go quite a bit more wrong than
Yeah.
because when we do things on a smaller scale, and yes, things go wrong all the time. In fact, a lot more wrong than you do with software. But when you get a big error, when you get an error, it can go a lot bigger.
Thankfully, that was long before we heard of the ICO and all those problems. So it was good. It was fine. I mean, we managed to sort it out. But because the other thing,
Yes,
of course,
the ICO would have loved that one. Sorry?
Iris was well known for Ernie. I know a couple of members say, "Oh, I used to do the old the payroll thing." Which
Oh yes, I'm old enough. Well, sorry, I shouldn't say it. I've been around this game for long enough to remember Ernie, but not very well. I'm not a payroll person as such. But
right.
Yes.
Okay. So you've got one of our members who's currently not qualified to do this, but we're trying to persuade them all to become qualified, or at least those that think that this is a potential new opportunity for them. Now, we have a qualification, obviously, and it was for 105. We've now spread it to include an introduction to 102, but within parameters. How long does it take to, I was going to say open your box, that's showing my age, isn't it? No. How long does it take you to download your software to actually learn how to use it?
Well, I mean, to actually install it and everything like that, it's very simple because it's in the cloud.
Yeah.
The cloud's probably.
I'm sorry about the box reference.
Yes, it's probably slightly dated to say in the cloud as well, but it's cloud native software, so you can actually bring it up. And we have had people who've gone from not having from actually going onto the website, the TaxFiler website, to sign up and submitting their first tax return, an SA100, and a rather simple one, but then within 15 minutes. So that it is a very simple piece to actually update. Now, learning it, well, I think that I mean the problem is when you're working with software day in day out, it's easy just to see it's easy to think, well, it's easy to use because you're using it all the time. But I do think we do get an awful lot of clients saying it is easy to use. It's easy to pick up. We do have a wonderful support desk because I work on it, but we do have a support desk that does get back to people very quickly, and it's one of the things that, to our surprise, when we started asking for testimonials, that was one of the things that came up quite a lot, was how quick the support desk was, and that's something that comes up on Accounting Web as well. So we do find that people don't tend to have too much trouble navigating around the system. It's trial on the accounts. It's trial balance centric. So in a way, we cheat by getting rid of an awful lot of the difficult stuff. The difficult stuff is the books when it comes to FRS 105 and the simple FRS 102 accounts. The difficult stuff is the actual books and getting it up to trial balance. So when you've got the trial balance in, a lot of the other stuff you can actually see from the trial balance, and you can start putting the other areas in. And it's about 4 active tabs in it. For FS 105, it's probably 3 active tabs. So you go through very quickly entering the information, and the information carries from year to year. So it can be even faster to get through once you've done it the first time. So I think doing the accounts is quite simple. Doing the CT600 is it's not as simple as the accounts. It can be a slight bit more complex because you've got things such as directors' loans and areas such as that. But if you do a course on that and you are aware of your limits, it shouldn't be too much of a problem either. But that if you know what you're looking for, it should be quite easy because the screens should be fairly obvious. Again, I would say that. And with the tax returns, you can just click on the area of the tax return you want populated and put that in. I do think usability is one of the plus points of TaxFiler, certainly.
Right. Obviously, this is an add-on to another piece of software. You add on to various things, and
Absolutely.
there are a lot of apps at the moment that seem to be doing specific jobs. I mean, we had Caroline Plum on yesterday from Fluidly, and they're into
Yes.
their cash flow, etc. Some of our members are a bit concerned. It's a bit like buying a car with a sat nav in it and then being told, well, actually, the sat nav's okay, but this is a better one. So you have to buy a different sat nav because that handles it better. I mean, how do you stand out from what's available in what they've already got? What is that's unique to you?
I mean, for most bookkeeping packages, most bookkeeping packages will do the final accounts. Okay, so that's I think I mean, if you're just using us for the accounts, because I mean again, clues in the name TaxFiler, you're just using us for the accounts, and we do have people who just use us for the accounts, much to my surprise. But if you're just using us for the accounts, then it has to be a fairly strong value proposition there, because you have to be it has to be a lot easier to use, and I think that we are easier to use than perhaps some other software. But I would say if you're just using it for the accounts, I'm not sure that many people would be doing it. For the tax, we don't tend to have people who are using, don't tend to have tax as a free add-on for many products. And we have a wider range. We have corporation tax, SA 100s, we have VAT, and we have something else which I'm going to announce. So again,
in a moment.
Far too much hype for this. It is going to be a big anticlimax now. I should have only said it once, shouldn't I?
Not at all. I've employed 4 trumpet players and a harpist to come and play for you. You know, so I mean.
Oh, that's fantastic! Fantastic. My nephew does trumpets, and
right, okay.
And I hope they're as loud as him.
No, don't worry, we're not going to do that to you. So you look at a lot of tax returns as part of what you do, and you see what comes out of it, etc. What are the big errors that are being made, do you think? Would you know?
Right. What by sort of bookkeepers?
Yeah. What is it you think they're doing wrong? Because some people will jump into this both feet first and not think too hard about it. But I mean.
Well, I think the big problem, and this is not just bookkeepers, but it's everyone, because you do have accountants, ACCA and ICA, EW accountants, but you also have other people such as SEMA and IFPA. I think a lot of the problem has been is that sometimes people don't actually know what they're trying to get in. So one of the questions, if you there are going to be a couple of people say, I had that answer from them. If you're getting the answer, which box do you want to fill in, when they ask where something's going in, it's usually, I'm not sure. It's either we don't actually know which box you're doing because we can't understand the question, or maybe we don't even know, but straight off. But usually it's because actually, if you know which box it is, it's actually going to be quite easy to find out where it is. So one of the problems we do have is that perhaps you're looking at your software provider to tell you how to fill in your tax return, and that's not what you want your software provider to do, because you know more about your client and you know more about your So that's one thing, and that's also on the accounts as well. If someone says, well, I'm not sure why my trial balance isn't balancing, well, we're not necessarily going to be sure either. The trial balance is balancing because it's not balancing. So that's,
if you're a bookkeeper and trial balance doesn't balance, you're not a very good bookkeeper, to be honest. I mean,
no, I know we don't get many bookkeepers saying that, by the way. Can I just? But we do have that question about the trial balance coming from some users, and it is a tiny minority, but it is one of my bugbears. Right. Even if there are very few, we do have more people asking about tax returns though. So sometimes if you're not sure which box it is in, HMRC does actually have quite a lot of information around. They have the help notes. When I was much younger, I've actually thrown them out about 3 or 4 months ago. I had one of these from years ago. We used to have this big collection of tax returns and notes called which was often called the Bible. It was about it was quite a thick set of A4 sheets. Do you remember those, Gary? And they don't tend to have them anymore.
My father told me about them.
Yes. But they came out when self-assessment came out, when self-assessment, and they were very useful for a long time. And but now it's all online, and some people will look at the software first and hope the software tells them what to do before they go online. Now, sometimes the software will tell you what to do, and sometimes it will be an issue where it's something we've seen quite a few times before. So we'll go through. So that's one issue. Another one is sometimes the mechanics of it. So, for example, loading up your accounts. If you prepared your accounts in TaxFiler, you can actually just load them up within the program. You don't need to leave the program rather than loading them down and loading them back up. That can be a fairly common error, and that sounds like a small thing to talk about, but it probably causes more issues than it's one of those
I think the thing is that I think the problems that we come across when we're trying to, a lot of people trying to come into membership of the ICB that haven't gone through the full examination route. And they say, well, I've done this, I've done that, or I've done the other. Everybody with us has to take some form of examination. So we put them through things and they absolutely flunk their exams. So we have a membership entrance paper for somebody that is determined that they know everything there is to know about bookkeeping. And all they want to do is do an endpoint exam. So we say, well, all right. And it's quite a wide-ranging exam. And, we've tried to analyze why they get it wrong. And I think it's probably that so much is done for them that when they're asked to try and explain why they're doing it, how they're doing it, they don't know.
They're not necessarily stupid. It's not. I mean, they're intelligent and they're able, but perhaps the basics were not properly explained.
I mean, our main training providers, almost to a man, say the biggest part of learning bookkeeping is at the beginning, because if you can get your head around it, then it flows through much more easily, and you've got to have that underpinning knowledge. But that's the bit that isn't sexy anymore, because you don't get the software to play with. You've got to go, really, I've got to do this. And
yes, absolutely. I would totally agree with you on that, actually, Gary, because as I said, I'm part qualified at ACA. I'm also fully qualified ATT. Sorry. So I actually knew quite a bit about accounts. But when I joined TaxFiler, I decided that, well, while I was here, I would actually do another course beginning with 2 A's, which so I got my AATQB, and the first 2 bits of it, which are sort of bookkeeping, advanced bookkeeping, I thought I'd just breeze through it. I know what debits and credits are, and I actually had to sit down and really learn through stuff. I knew what it was trying to do, but it was actually getting that real fundamental basis. It's really important. And I think if any of you've got any potential users as potential people there who have got a business background, then yes, you've got to get those debits and credits right in your head. And it is a bit of indoctrination almost.
So you've done somebody else's certificate. I mean, I think you ought to do ours.
I've been talking to Amy about that actually, and and she said yes, you should. But yes, I may very well do that. I would ask for secrecy if I fail, though.
Well, the thing is, otherwise, when you come up on stage for Fever Pitch this year, your microphone might suddenly go dead or something or other.
I'll do it by mime.
All right. Okay. No. We can't miss you jumping up on stage and your usual ebullient self.
I have no idea what I'm going to do this year to sort of match the because each year it's I feel nervous because it's because I'm supposed to match what I did last year. I don't know. But I mean, you're going Hammersmith this year, aren't you? Is it Hammersmith?
Yeah, to the Apollo, to the Novotel. Sorry.
Fantastic,
Yeah,
fantastic. So it's away from Heathrow. I actually quite liked Heathrow because I could get a bus all the way from where I live near Ipswich, and I could get the National Express all the way to Heathrow. But
yeah, it's another 15 minutes on the tube then, basically.
So what,
I mean,
what's your?
Yeah.
Why Hammersmith?
Well, we wanted to be a bit closer to the centre of London, because for a lot of people who don't catch the bus or a fly-in, it is a bit more difficult. But also, we were running out of space there, and it's very difficult. The dinner, if you remember the dinner at night with the Luca Awards, we were
we won, by the way. We won that second.
I know you won. Yes, you won a Luca. Yes, absolutely.
Well, I think we won 2 last year. Yes. Sorry, Luca Awards, which the highlight, by the way, highlight of my career has been holding that Luca Award.
Good. No. I mean, it's wonderful. It
was great. But yes, that dinner.
They are actually very hard to get. We don't give it to you because we think you look nice or anything like that. There's a lot goes into
If it was because I looked nice, I'd never win anything. So
far be it for me to come in. No, I was just saying that really the size didn't quite suit us anymore. They were really nice people there, very, very helpful.
Wonderful, yeah.
Liked the place, and very smart rooms as well. But yeah, and it's probably going to work out a little bit more expensive for us to be there, but we're all crammed into the end of the year now. Everybody's vying for position. And, so they hadn't got a date that suited us, but I think, yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'm not sure how soon we will actually come out of lockdown, because there are various comments going about at the moment, various scenarios. But I'm hoping that by November, everybody is dying to get out of lockdown and go and meet people.
I think you'll be right, but yes, will that apply to conventions and conferences, which might wait till other things? But no, it would be. Wouldn't that be your 25th or 24th?
It's our 24th year this year. 25th next year is going to be the big one. That's the 25th anniversary, which I know in terms of other organisations is relatively small. But yeah, look what we've achieved in only 24 years.
Yes, absolutely.
It's good.
It's absolutely. And as I said, the Luca is the award that we lead on. So it is actually very much an award that we're very proud of. So
brilliant, yeah. I get invited, obviously, as a guest to lots of different award ceremonies for other organisations. I always get the feeling that the old guys are rolled out and win one every year, or it's his turn. You can almost sit there and say, I bet it's going to be so and so this year. But no, I mean, we had we've got people on our table sitting there who don't win a thing, and. Sorry, but that's the way it works. When I go up there on stage, I have no idea who's winning. So sometimes it comes as a bit of a surprise. Anyway, but it's such.
It was. I think we won 2 and the second one was definitely a surprise. I remember that.
But deserved, obviously, well deserved.
Well, it was hard competition, and it was as I said, we are very proud of those Luca Awards.
Good. One of our training providers, Training Link, who is very, very successful with us, they've won, I think, 10 years on the trot now, best training provider. What pressure must they be under? It's like getting a star when you're in a restaurant or something. You get a Michelin star. It's more keeping it that puts more pressure on than winning it to begin with, doesn't it? Really. And,
yes. I think we are under pressure to keep that Luca. Yes, that's certainly true.
Yeah, we've got a lot of people are already booking ahead for the conference this year, and we've all got our fingers crossed that we'll be out of trouble by
then.
But
I'm certainly looking forward to it, and I do hope that.
Although the chief medical officer yesterday said we could be in some form of social distancing for a good 12 months yet, because it depends how quickly this vaccine works. I think everything's been, everything's been put on this vaccine now. We hope somebody sorts it out. It's an unheard of short period for developing a whole new vaccine, but let's hope they've done it right.
Yes.
Judith Siddle, by the way. Hello, Judith. She just reminded me that it's St George's Day today. So happy St George's Day. Thank you, Judith, for that, and everybody. Happy St George's Day. Got up here. Christy Appling. From my experience, the support desk are really good. You get full answers quickly. What can you say? Kirsty St John.
All I can say is, can you repeat that, please?
If he passes, could he have his certificate presented on stage? Now there's a challenge.
That's putting me on the spot, isn't it? That really is putting me on the spot.
There we are. There's my challenge to you. We'll present you with your certificate on stage if you pass. So, ladies and gentlemen, if James is not on stage next year, you'll know he tried.
You'll know why.
Failed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Is there a really no? There's not one. It's the ICB. They're not easy. Oh well.
No, not at all. But yeah, I mean, our qualifications are, we like to think they're quite tough, but they are relevant. So we're not going to, hopefully not going to ask you anything silly. We know our limitations and what we want our members to do. So it's pretty narrow focus to begin with, because I think it's a bit like driving a car, isn't it? Bookkeeping, you know, you learn to drive so that you can tick all the right boxes, but actually you get in the car out by yourself for the first time, and the world looks different, and you have to learn as you're going along. So
yes, I was a relatively late driver, so I still have that problem when I get in the car.
All right, okay.
But I do think one of the things I am very impressed with ICB is the way in which it's not just about bookkeeping, it's also about the commercial aspects around bookkeeping and running a practice and finding clients and various other things that the other institutes and membership bodies do, but it's more of an afterthought for them. Not all of them, but for some of them, it can be a bit of an afterthought for them.
You're trying so hard not to insult anybody at the moment, aren't you?
Oh no! If I tried hard to not to insult people, I really have failed, because I seem to do it all the time. Right. But I do think that it is an afterthought for many, and because ICAEW is about getting technically things right. Well, Chartered Tax Advisor is about getting a very high level of knowledge, and I am very impressed with that ICB. And I will say this because I mean ATT, for example, I've been involved in ATT for. I'm actually got a fellow. I'm now a fellow of ATT because I've been there for so long, and I.
Does that make you a fat?
Sorry. Well, it doesn't. That doesn't make me fat. It's just my overeating, really, and lack of exercise. But
why are you an FATT then, or what?
No, they didn't put that. They put ATT Fellow in brackets.
Right, okay. Yeah, I can understand.
So I think they saw that one coming. But they did. But the difference, because you do get some stuff about running a business and how to run a business, but it really is all about. They talk about tax and various areas of tax that are actually quite hard to follow, to be quite frank, sometimes. But ICB, I think, is very much more focused on actually running a small business, and it's really quite impressive.
Well, thank you for that. I mean, yeah, right from day one, we decided examinations were a route to membership. They're not there just to be examinations in their own right. They are there to equip you to do a job. Now, if you are trained to be a chartered accountant, you will normally get linked into a firm. You'll spend 5 or 6 years number crunching in that firm until you then sprout wings and move on, or go up the ladder, or whatever.
Or most go into business as well.
Go straight into the practice. You know, they go straight out of exam.
The other thing is with accountants, a lot of them, there's a bit of a split personality, because some of them are going into practice, and some of them will stay in practice quite happily as fairly senior employees and never become a partner or a sole practitioner, and spend their lives in practice, just becoming very well remunerated, rather specialised. But you do have that thing about either being in practice or in industry, and whereas ICB, it really is. Well, I mean, you do have people who are in industry. I've met many of them, but essentially it is about practice, about being a practice, and I think that comes through. There's a certain single-mindedness in ICB, which I think is quite refreshing.
Yeah, it does make it a little difficult when our members are trying to recruit, because they would like to recruit ICB members, but most of them actually want to do it themselves. So a lot of our members do employ those other people with strange letters after their name occasionally, but it is out of necessity, I think. And I think ICB members, because they're going into self-employment, we don't have many that are not fixed up, do not have something to do, do not have a job, or do not have a practice. So we're in a unique position, I think. And even now, you know, we're in the middle of all these problems taking place at the moment. And I think we've had certainly one person that has found it all too much because of sudden extra family commitments. But apart from that, everybody's saying that the business is just growing at the moment, because everybody's ringing up and saying, I need a bookkeeper, quick. What does furlough mean? You know, and it's really good for us.
Do I qualify for this COVID-19 relief for self-employed people? Yeah. Which can bring me on to my rather over-egged...
Your earth-shattering it.
Absolutely, earth-shattering. Well, basically, you are going to be... Yes, I know. You're not going to be the first to find out about this, and I better be careful I don't oversell it. Basically, one of the things we've been asked for is a report on COVID-19, people who are eligible for COVID-19 relief. And that's going to be coming out in the next couple of days. It's at the moment in a reasonably advanced stage of testing. So it could be released. I don't know when it's going to be released, and I've got to be very careful I don't say when it's going to be released, but it should be out in the next few days.
You're sounding like Matt Hancock here.
Well, yeah, I'm not promising 100,000 tests by the end of the month. I'm just promising I hope this report by the end of the month, which is a less impressive. Well, it's still impressive, may I say, to developers. But so essentially, you will be able to find your clients through this who should be due the relief. You do need to go by HMRC guidance. The HMRC guidance, they have made things simpler than they usually do, but it's still HMRC. So it's still, and it is tax law, and law is complex by definition. So you do need to check it sometimes, but you will be having people phoning up. Do I qualify for COVID-19? And now you can actually use this to actually be more proactive with your clients to do that if you're a TaxFiler user.
So it's a calculator then, basically. I mean, you put in the information, your system answers the questions.
Well, basically, you've got the information. You've had the information for 2 or 3 years. In many cases, it reads off that information and reports out. You can bring it down to a CSV file, interrogate it on your spread on Excel or whatever you use, and everyone will be happy. We hope. But right. so that's essentially, that is the new functionality that's coming out. It is a world exclusive for ICB TV, and I think that is actually very helpful for people who have this issue.
It certainly sounds it. Is this an add-on to the main product, or is this a?
It's inclusive. It's inclusive. We don't really have add-ons. I mean, it's something we've always thought about doing add-ons here and there, but we've never done add-ons. The pricing is how many clients you have and then how many users you have. So,
are you able to tell me roughly what price you start at, just so that my members?
£10 a month.
How much?
£10 a month for up to 10 clients. So that's tax returns being logged in. So that's £10 a month starts up. Surely you heard that on Fever Pitch. £10 a month. And
I was giving you a chance to sell it again.
Well,
so that's £1 a client. That's £12 a year. So it's £12. Sorry, £12 plus VAT per client, basically. When you get past 10 clients, you get onto the solo version, which is £30 per. Sorry, better be careful. 30 clients for £20 per month. Plus VAT, so that's £24 including VAT. You do get an annual discount if you're prepared to pay annually, so you'd get 2 months free. And then you've got the Pro version, which is unlimited clients, and that's £30 per user per month. It's essentially, if you've got less than 10 clients, or if you just want to try it out for a couple of months, then you can use that. It's monthly, so if you signed up to the monthly plan, once you say, I don't like it,
then you can just simply cancel your direct debit, and you're not held into any contract if you've done it on the month.
And this new world exclusive, you say that's actually now part of that?
That will be part of that in the next couple of days. Let's be quite clear. It's not in there and now. If you're going to look for it now, it's not in there, but it will be in there in the next couple of days.
We've just lost half our audience. They're looking for it as we speak. Do you know what book
I know.
it is?
And if you're looking for it in the next couple of days, or if you're looking at this on YouTube in the next couple of days, you go to the settings, the sort of tools area. You go to the tools area, and it will be the top report there.
And will they get an alert to this in some way, an email or something? Or
I don't know. In fact, that's a very good question, and I will talk to the marketing person,
okay.
Jane, who you know. I will talk to her and ask her if that's a part of the plan, because I think that is a reasonable point.
I think that's pretty good. I mean, it's obviously, I would suggest, a low-priced product, which is really good. That doesn't appear, according to our members, to be meaning it's a low-value product, which is good.
No.
Certainly, the extra work that you can do for a client is recoverable, I would have thought, immediately, whichever.
Pretty much so, yes, pretty much so. And you can be proactive about it as well, which is what the clients like.
Yeah.
Because a lot of clients are very worried about how things are. They're hearing a lot of stories about how difficult it is to get relief, which I don't think is. I think that's a lot of that may be the press trying to find whether things are difficult. I mean, I'm all for the press trying to probe the government, but I think a lot of that might be the press trying to talk some of these problems up. But so I don't think they're as difficult as said, and I think that they put a lot of effort into making it easier, and we've seen that with the furlough thing, which I think has been an amazing effort by HMRC. I've dealt with HMRC directly for the first time when I started TaxFiler, and I'm actually quite impressed with HMRC on the software development side. So, which makes me very unpopular with many accountants who do not like some of the HMRC helplines, but they've put their A team on this one, and I think it's actually quite impressive. But you can be proactive, and people are worried, and you can actually take some of that worry off your client's shoulders, and that's what a business is, really, isn't it? Taking worry off people's shoulders.
It's certainly what a bookkeeper does. I mean, that's what we're there for. I think the problem with seeing somebody annually or even twice annually or something or other is that you can get it all wrong, and then you start to procrastinate a little bit, then you fester, and it just doesn't work, does it? I mean, that's the unfortunate thing. So I think it's good. I mean, I've just written a note to the business minister, Secretary of State, sorry, and just talking about bookkeepers and what we're all getting up to. But yeah, I mean, I think it's like the Millennium Bug, and it's like RTI, and it's like MTD. We tend to get on with it. I think what the press do is find a couple of mid-range unhappy accountants who think the whole world is going to change, and there will always be somebody who's not happy, and they seem to have an uncanny knack for finding them.
Well, yes, absolutely. It's journalists work very hard. I've got relatives and friends who are journalists, and they work very hard. So it's not an uncanny knack, but they do look for unhappy people because they make better stories, and because that's what we like to read. But frankly, I think that this is somewhere where bookkeepers really can get on the front foot with helping their clients. It is harder when you're self-employed. One of the reasons you get self-employed is so you've got more flexibility. More flexibility means it's harder to track you down. It's harder to find out what you're due for. But this is where bookkeepers can definitely help.
I'm getting called to task here by Naveed Nanji. Hello, Naveed. Saying, why are we advertising TaxFiler so heavily? Do we get a discount for using it? There used to be £20 plus VAT per month. They've jumped to £30 plus VAT. So that means he must have a certain number of clients.
That's off. I mean, it's when I talk through how you go up through your users. So if you've been using TaxFiler and you are under 30 clients in a year, then it will be £20 a month, and it will go up to £30 a month if you have more than that. So if you get more successful with TaxFiler, at some point the prices do go up. And if you've got more than 30 clients, you're basically paying £1 per client per month for this.
Yeah.
This
Okay.
well, less than £1 per client per month. If when you're over 30, so if you've got 50 or 60 clients, £30 per month isn't actually, I would argue, a big price rise compared to other products.
They like to look after the pennies, do our accountants, and rightly
Absolutely.
so.
That's what that's.
They recharge
That's
everything out. They're careful. And another question here. This one is anonymous, so as you guess, it's probably not the most flattering thing. Why has TaxFiler entered the market of practice management? When there are plenty of others.
Yes. Well, we're not entering the market as such. It is a demand. It is a demand that people have had. I mean, I was on the yesterday. I was at your Newcastle branch meeting, and that was one of the requests that people asked. So this is a question. Some people say, well, why are we in practice management? You should be concentrating on one thing and that you're really good at and being really good at this. And other people say, well, we really need a practice management tool, and the idea that we have to pay twice as much to get a practice management tool, and that you have all the information, you can find it. Well, we're not trying to get into the practice management area. What we're trying to do is we're trying to provide an add-on for free, by the way, to your TaxFiler product, and so it's in the early stages. Unlike, say, tax returns or accounts, this is something that can be very much client-led. So we've started out with a very basic product, which will be built on over time, led by clients, by what the customers want, and that's through. You can do that through the enhancement portal, which if you want to find out about the enhancement portal, just ask us on support@taxfiler.co.uk. So we're not aiming to beat other practice management products. We'll never beat them, but what we can do is we can provide a practice management product that's very much integrated into your system, and we can do that for free. That's what we are doing.
Naveed has just come back and said if he reduces his number of clients, does therefore his license fee reduce?
Well, talk to billing at
TaxFiler.co.uk at the moment.
Well, if you're reducing clients to reduce the amount of, reducing paying clients to reduce the amount of clients that you've got on TaxFiler, that might be a bit of a false economy, I'd suggest. Paying clients should be paying far, far, far more than your TaxFiler subscription.
Yeah, I think some bookkeepers are finding that nowadays they have to have 27 apps per client, and it is getting expensive. But I think from the figures you've quoted, that doesn't sound bad. I mean, obviously, we have been talking quite a lot about TaxFiler today, but there are a couple of good reasons for that. Obviously, we have to alert members to what products are available out there. But the other thing is, I like speaking to people who like a good chat, and you obviously do. So that's what it's all about, really. And it's the end of the month, and it's a lot of people will be taking this down later on tonight and watching it rather than watching it live. Let's have a look. And the bookkeeping, what's it called? Bookkeeping business, is it? The bookkeeping hub is saying, I think £10 per annum per client is absolutely fine. Well, good. We've got a good debate going on anyway, so that's good. I think we have to be confident as bookkeepers. If we talk to our clients properly, and a little bit of salesmanship in there, you have to sell ourselves to our clients. I think that I think it's what we do. Are there plans to integrate with other cloud account software other than QBO?
We do currently have Xero and Cashflow as well. We are doing Free Agent quite soon. I'm never sure about where Sage is. Sage is something we have talked to Sage, and we quite like to get Sage, and they tend to be a lot more desk-based than other products. But so they're still Sage, and they're still. I mean, my father, who's an accountant, loves Sage. Absolutely adores Sage. So I've got quite a high opinion of Sage, just simply because of that. But what we do have is we also have the ability to take in through a spreadsheet, through a trial balance. So if you're having, it doesn't matter what type of software it is, as long as you can get a 3-column trial balance out, name, debit, and credit, we can import it back in go to us on the support desk. We'll talk you through that. But we are hopefully getting free agent out soon. I'm not going to give a date because I'll get murdered. But we are hopefully getting free agent out soon, and we are going to be looking at Sage in sort of the medium term. But we can integrate with just about every software package there is. Slightly more fiddly than the integration we have with Xero and QuickBooks at the moment, but we can do that. And our support desk is pretty much it's a really quite. It's not, when I say it's a bit more fiddly, it's only a bit more fiddly. So please talk to us.
I think at the moment, most of our students still learn on Sage. That's not our doing. That's because of the training providers, I think, feel comfortable with Sage. It's available to them, and they're very happy with the prices they get for the software. But I think it's a bit like learning to drive in a Datsun or something or other. It doesn't mean you can't come out and go straight into a Peugeot. It's different, and I think Sage are fighting off the problems that they had many years ago now with Sage 1 and Sage Instant. But I think those days have gone. But yeah, they've got a bit of an uphill battle to convince people that it's good. But those of our members that are using it at the moment seem to think, the improvements have been pretty rapid. Sometimes I think a lot of the software is regarded as too salesy. Sorry? Because
I'm quite impressed with what Sage have done recently. I think Chris Dowling came in. I think that it's been quite. There's been. I think it was actually the ICB summit a couple of years ago. I might be in the wrong. It might be another one, but I think it was ICB summit. This chap from Sage came up to us and said, "Well, what about integration?" And Sage had never talked to people about integration. They'd been very much a closed garden for ages, and I think they've opened up tremendously. And I think it was actually Chris Dowling who came up and asked that. So I think it has improved a lot. But as I said, it's still, it's not a cloud-based, it's not as much of a cloud-based product as others. Although they're cloud-based products, they are putting a lot of investment in.
Yeah. Well, I think everybody's constantly catching up. It must be very difficult to do it. And I think that you were talking before about very kindly mentioning, as we've mentioned you so often, and my members are now telling me this.
I'm sorry if I'm getting you in trouble.
No, it's fine. It's great. Everybody's very happy, I think. But you mentioned ICB. Now, obviously, we set ourselves out as the voice of bookkeepers and the organisation for bookkeepers, as we would. And I know a lot of other organisations have tried now to move into the bookkeeper market, but I think that quite often it's from people who think the bookkeepers are just number crunchers. Now, we've been fighting that for 25 years, and my big concern is that the perception of a bookkeeper will be diminished if we're not careful. We've got to keep banging the drum that a good bookkeeper is a very, very professional, all-encompassing person that's got a lot of knowledge that can work with small businesses, and it's important we maintain that.
Absolutely. You're not accountants, and you'll never become accountants because you're going to be out there and going to visit the client every week or every month, and the accountant's not going to be doing that. And it's just a difference. There's different skills. It's not that bookkeepers are worse than accountants. It's a different set of skills, and I think, every now and again, you hear of bookkeeping practice that decides almost to become an accountant by withdrawing from the clients.
Yes, I'm glad you mentioned that.
And I think that seems to kill them off because they don't have that client relationship, which is the secret sauce, I think, with lost bookkeepers.
I think one of the things that I have noticed from talking to our members now is those members that have become a bit aloof, if I can say, and too far above their practice, have struggled a little bit with their clients because the clients find it easier to say no to a member of staff that they've not got that original affinity with. So the fact that you sell yourself, you sell your practice, but then you disappear somewhere off to get too many new clients, if you're not careful, that can disappear. And we were having a discussion with our council yesterday and just saying that, one of the things that we need to continually say about ICB is it doesn't matter if you are working with one or two clients or whether you're working with one or two branches. if you're a bookkeeper and you're a professional bookkeeper, it's the standard that unites us, not the size of your practice and the size of clients that you handle. It is that whole approach to what we do. So I think that's important. So thank you for giving me that opportunity to tell about that on my program. Very much. Can I just cover a couple of very quick things, which are newsy follow-ups? Don't forget tomorrow, everybody, we've got TaxFiler. It's Friday. And we'll be having the inimitable Jackie Mount with us, who'll be going through various things. But a couple of things that have come up. We were asked, if a company is going into administration, can it furlough the staff? Now, this is down to the administrator. The administrator, if they believe that it is in the interests of the business to retain the staff, they can go into furlough. And this has actually already been through the High Court. This went to court on the 13th of April. And it was decided that administrators can do this, but you have to do it over a very rapid period. There is a link on the ICB, ICB Hub. There's a webinar there on how to claim furlough. Now, I know most of you have done this already and you've become old hat, but it's an HMRC video. I'm told it's good. I haven't had a chance to look at it. But for those of you who want to make sure you've done it right or want to check up, please look. We've had a lot of inquiries about under 16s with no national insurance number. We have now been told by HMRC, if you have fewer than 100 employees in total in a company, and you've got people on there who have no national insurance number, you have to telephone and make a verbal claim. So you ring the COVID-19 helpline, and the number for that, if you have your pens or notebooks or whatever ready, is 0800 024 122. 0800 024 122. And we have had another reminder, very helpfully, from HMRC saying we have been so busy doing other things that if you have not cancelled your VAT direct debit, the software will take your money from you. So please cancel your direct debit for VAT quickly so that doesn't happen. So the other thing I need to mention is our Inspire Tour next week. So tomorrow I've dealt with already, thanks Furlough, it's Friday. Monday, we have got some people here from Xero coming on to talk about their products specifically aimed at helping you through furloughing and the current lockdown. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we have the Inspire Tour, and we've got a range of subjects on there. Too many for me to mention at the moment because we're running out of time, but please have a look at the website. Now that is £45 for the 3 days, so that's £15 per day for a couple of hours per day. Once you have booked in and paid, you can watch it at the allotted time of 11 o'clock and then a repeat later in the afternoon, or actually you can download it and then keep it so you can refer to it whenever you wish. But that's a bit more meaty than what we're doing in this. So for example, you've got something there on how to put proper operating systems into your practice so that you have a better managed practice and look after yourself. We've got people talking about the anti-money laundering regulations, because I know we all love them to bits, but we are finding that many of you are starting to slip up and you're misunderstanding a few things. So a very practical reminder on what you should be doing and how to know your client, how to do your due diligence, etc. Not all legislation numbers and somebody barking rules out at you, but actually giving you a heads up on how to do that better. And then a little bit later on in the week, I think it's the last of the three, we've got some of our members talking about those of you who want to grow your practice. Where do you start? How do you make sure your practice is running properly? So it's all very practical and all very helpful, hopefully, to you. Don't forget, you do need to book for that. It's £45. If you miss booking in time for Tuesday, you can still pay and get Tuesday sent back to you. It'll be down. You can download it from there. But if you can do that before, then it will make life a lot easier. Finally, just to say, I think that all of the ICB team are working busily away at home. You can contact them. It's on our usual office number, 0203 405 4000. So we too, like you, have invested in huge amounts of technology. So we picked up our phones, we plugged them into our routers at home, and we're sitting there waiting for your call. So just the normal number, 0203 405 4000. If you want to sit an exam, all of our exams are available 24/7 on demand in the normal manner. And we have begun doing the proctored exam now for the M8. So you don't have to go to a Pearson VUE centre because they've all closed up shop, obviously, like everybody else. You can do it at home, and there is an instruction on the website which you can hear about, or give us a call if you want to know a bit more information. But basically, you can sit there, you work on your computer, and you have your phone up with an app on it. It keeps an eye on you to make sure you're not cheating or somebody's not sitting in your place and doing the exam for you and various other things. And I think that's probably about it, other than finally to say, James Spencer, tester extraordinaire and purveyor of marvelous new products, special world-beating news products. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much. And if anyone wants to be on a branch meeting on Zoom, just contact us on TaxFiler, or I'm sure they can contact it through the office.
Yeah, they contact Garry at our office. They know how to do that, and certainly we'll do that. That'd be great. Thank you very much indeed, James.
Okay, bye.
See you soon. Bye.